You radio home of the all-new Jamal Bakes Show, and I'm Jamal Bakes, and thank you so very much for listening to the station bringing you talk, news, entertainment that you won't get anywhere else. KUAWN of and about our community.
This is the last weekend before Christmas, and on Blue Simon City, we're wrapping up our all Christmas blues and Southern Soul program.
Oh, Gene Bailey.
We have a very special guest that you will definitely enjoy, and we'll hear from some of the artists that sing the Christmas blues. Join me, Gene Bailey, for Blue Simon City this weekend before Christmas, right here.
Yep. All right. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Thank you for tuning in today. Today is January the 19th of 2021. I wrote 2020 down here. I'm going to change it to 2021. We're in a new year. We are in a new year. All right. So, how's everybody doing out there? I hope you're doing all right. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's, man, I hope you're doing good. You know what I'm saying? With everything going on or whatnot. Everybody's doing a little better. So, if you want to, before we get into the show today, if you want to reach us at kuaw.org is our web, or you can reach us on the internet at KUAW, on the internet dial, also with TuneIn Radio. That's KUAW as well. On the phone, we have 816-599-6893, but we have our guest on the phone here. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and jump into this interview and don't keep my man waiting. We have Mr. Derek McBride. Derek, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing? Happy Monday. Happy New Year, my man.
Absolutely, brother. Happy Monday. Happy New Year, or Tuesday, actually. How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I don't know about you. Where are you? Kansas City, right? You up in Missouri?
We are in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, it's 72 degrees here. I think I'm going to take my shirt off and jump in the pool, man. So.
Hey, that's funny. That's funny you said that, man, because we were in the studio. We just turned the heaters on. we looked at the thermometer, but that boy said 47. It's at 50 right now.
Oh, wow. So this morning when we got up here in Florida, it was 38 degrees. So some very unhappy people traveling to work on Monday this morning, I'll tell you that much.
Wow, 38 degrees.
38 degrees this morning.
Man, Derek, for those of us who may not know who you are, man, just give us a little bit of background of who Mr. Derek McBride is.
Man, I'm a nobody, man. So just trying to fit in like everybody else, and carve out some just trying to do right by people and doing do the right thing. But I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
My family is from the St. Louis, Columbia, Fulton, Kansas City, Missouri area.
Yeah.
I attended Kansas State University.
Okay.
I played football there under Coach Bill Snyder and Bob Stoops and
Yeah.
Jim Levitt and Mike Stoops and all those good guys.
Legends.
Legends. And
Yeah.
my high school coach and Coach Stoops and Coach Snyder, they kind of forged me and kind of molded me into the person I am today. I love what I did for them. So that's just a little bit about me.
Beautiful, man. That's a great brief history of you, man. And I was kind of looking up a little bit about you and trying to find out a little bit more about you and everything, man. And my wife introduced us, and I said, well, let me give my man a shout and everything. So I was looking through your Facebook page, and we've been texting back and forth, and I was like, man, this brother got a lot of recipes on here.
Oh yeah, So I grew up in a Black Baptist church, man, and every Sunday, Mama would make a full course meal with dessert.
Yeah.
And so she just cooked all the time, and that's kind of where she showed you the love. I mean, if she didn't go out and buy you an expensive ring, I mean, if on your birthday you got a cake or a pie or something.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I grew up, just watching my mom and my big mama and my grandma in the kitchen cooking. And I love to cook. I done put on some weight and I've lost some, so I've kind of had to backtrack, but one day
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to all those recipes.
Yeah, man, you got enough of them out there, man. So before we get into what we're gonna talk about, man, let's briefly talk a little bit about COVID, man. How you been kind of working with COVID, man? You been doing okay?
Well, I've been doing fine, from that point of view, but it's hit us hard
Yeah.
down here in Florida.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, we're a tourist. We rely on a tourist dollar, and that's kind of been cut in half. And almost all the activities that we do are outside with groups of people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of put a damper on that, and just kind of navigating through that and making sure we stay positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some things I do with my young people, and I coach, and we do all that outside, and we've never had a group less than 15 or 20. So
Nice.
we've kind of had to adapt just to make sure we're making healthy choices.
Yeah.
But from that point of view, it's it's taking its toll on us. I'm sure, like it's doing everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, man. We also do a robotics program here. We work with young people that teach them about STEM and technology and things like that. And we've also, they've had to pivot here, man, and kind of figure out different ways to navigate that. And it's been a difficult task, man. And I think that's what everybody's feeling. You know.
Yeah, I would second that. I would second that. And we just have to figure out. We feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But we're not sure if that's a light or if that's an oncoming train. We just have to all raise it and wait and find out.
Well, you ain't lying, man. We're being hopeful that it is a light, man. But yeah, you just really don't know what it is. So, man, without further ado, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we got you on the show for, man. You got a book that you recently published and authored and everything. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, basically, my book is, it's a story that my grandfather told me many, many, many years back.
Yeah.
And, the crazy thing about it is when he told me, maybe 18, 19, 20, when I was 20, I knew one day I wanted to tell the world. I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was going to do it. And obviously, in 29 years, technology and communication and, the way we get information out has changed drastically. So, but my grandfather, I mean, he's such an amazing man.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King birthday was yesterday.
Right.
He was a strong leader and advocate with the NAACP. I mean, so he broke many, many, many barriers in Callaway County and in central Missouri as a black man. So the story is about one of his experiences, and and I'm excited and glad to be able to tell it.
Absolutely. Yeah, the title of your book is One Search for All: Life, Liberty, and Pursuit. And it says inspired by a true story based on real life events. So that would be real life events off of your grandfather.
Absolutely. So basically what he did is he had this experience.
Sure.
And he wrote a journal of this experience.
Yeah.
Shared it with me.
Yeah.
And just throughout the years, sharing it back with him. And I asked him one day if he didn't mind if I wrote a book, and he said yes. And so my book has, it has characters, and I mean, it goes back to when they were young, and it is not just like most stories that are based and inspired. Yeah. There are some areas where we took the liberty to really make it palatable for the reader. Yeah. But yes, it's based on a true story, and it's inspired by true events.
Absolutely. So walk us back through that, man. How was that, being able to kind of sit there now? Were you writing a book? Is your grandfather still with us?
Yeah. Jack McBride is his name.
Yeah.
He lives in Fulton, Missouri. He's from Fulton, Missouri. The story takes place in Fulton, Missouri. Fulton, Missouri is mentioned, Columbia, Missouri. So it takes place in Callaway County, and yes, he's still living. Nice. And my hope, the book comes out in May. And my hope is that I'll be able to honor him, as it comes out. But the
Yeah.
book release date is May 11th, 2021, and
Nice.
there's just so many things that are involved in printing a book and getting it out for people to read, and
Yeah.
so we thought it would be ready last May, but COVID shut down the printing press,
Mm-hmm.
so we're back at it.
Absolutely. Now, what was that like, man, working with your grandfather, who's being your the person who's really inspiring you, sitting there with them, man, being able to kind of go through those moments with them, man. How was that for him? Kind of replaying a lot of that stuff back in his mind, man. How was that? Was that with him?
You know what? That's a good question. For me, if you just take the book outside of the equation, I would say he is my hero. I
Yeah.
would say him and my dad are my hero.
Nice.
My grandfather is just such an inspiration,
Yeah.
even if you take the book out of it. Now, obviously, adding the book, I mean, he's such an inspiration. I was able to get to know him on an intimate level through the stories and
Yeah.
through the experiences, within the experiences that he shared. I mean, and just, and I do want to make sure we're clear on something. It probably took me 15 years to write the book.
Wow.
It took me a
Wow.
long time to write it.
Yeah.
So my gathering the information from him was a very long process that I didn't know was going to take that long.
Yeah.
I didn't think was going to take that long.
Yeah.
And for many, many years, man, I didn't know how to write. So I
Mm.
had the story and I didn't know what to do with it.
Mm.
So I was kind of, and it's interesting because most people ask me a little bit about the book, what's it about, and then the other question most people ask me is, man, how did you become a writer? So those are kind of two stories that are
Yeah.
kind of linked together, and to how I'm here now.
Yeah, that's funny because that was actually going to be one of my next questions, man. How did you become a writer? Because I've had some authors on the show that have written books, multiple books, and the one thing that I hear from, excuse me, that I hear from some of them is like one particular author says, man, I have to literally get in the zone. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, man, I watch no TV, limited radio for a whole until I'm finished writing the book. I have to focus on this book. And I was like, wow, really? He said, yeah, yeah. So that was
Okay,
tough.
okay. So I guess I would probably say, in the beginning of me wanting to, when I decided that the book is what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
the beginning stages of that, I was searching for a ghostwriter.
Gotcha.
So I was searching for somebody to write it, and I just tell you, because I'm not gonna write. I'm not gonna write. So
Yeah.
and I found a ton of them. A
Yeah.
ton of them were interested, but I just couldn't afford 15 grand to do it, or 10 grand to do it, or
Yeah.
we want to write to the book, or I couldn't do that. So just over years, I would ask, and then something would fall through, and they couldn't do it. And then a friend of mine said, "Hey, Derek, I love the project. Let's work together and we'll try to write it." So we worked together, and he actually started. I gave him exactly what I wanted to say, and he kind of started the book and the dialogue. Well,
Yeah.
he got sick,
Oh.
and so yeah. So the book probably has 28 chapters.
Yeah.
We were able to talk through like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5, somewhere like that. And then I think he got sick. And
Right.
so I didn't hear from him for another year,
Oh man.
almost 2 years. And what am I going to do?
Right.
So I literally said, just write it. I didn't know where to start. So I started on the internet like most people do.
Right.
I started Googling things, and then I started to say, okay, what do I wanted to say? And then I just took my phone out and I would write. So if
Yeah.
my son was at baseball practice, I'd write. Or if he
Yeah.
was at the doctor's office. And all I did was write thoughts out, right? Because I didn't know how to write at this point.
Yeah.
And then when I really got into it, I went to a professor at one of the local schools here, colleges.
Right.
And I said, hey, if I clean your office, can I sit in the back and just come through your classes?
Nice.
Because the reality of it is I still needed to know where to put the periods,
Absolutely.
the punctuation, and the commas, and the there's and there's and this, and
Right.
how to have dialogue. So I did that for for almost 2 years. I
Mm.
studied on how to write dialogue, how to write effective dialogue, and I was excited about it. Once I learned how to do that, then it just took off. Now, I would back up and say to your other authors that setting the mood to write, I mean, it'd be so much fun to do that. On Friday nights, my friends would go out, and Friday nights I'm going home, and
Yeah.
you're right, I light a candle,
Yeah.
clean the house, and,
Yeah.
and I'd write for 4 or 5 hours because I like doing it.
Yeah.
But for me, the writing, having the thought was easy because I always had the thought. I knew where I wanted it to go. So I've had the thought of what I wanted to say and what I wanted to do for 15 years. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I knew who's the voice I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got to it.
Wow. See, that's one thing my mother used to always tell me when I had trouble times. She used to be like, just write it down. And I'm like, man, I don't want to write it down because my mother, she wrote everything down. She had calendars and calendars. She wrote everything down. She wrote, Chris came by and dropped off his son, and, me and him went to the park. And I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? She wrote everything, but she would always tell me to write things down, man, because it helps to, for one, it helps to create a memory, but also helps to get things off your mind, and you can kind of reflect back on those things, And when I lost my mother in 2019, man, I went by there and I was cleaning out her house and things like that. And man, I started going through all of her papers. I'm like, man, she had calendars with just notes and notes and notes, and I began to look at that and I said, wow, that's interesting that she had all those notes. So all the notes that she had written through all those years, now I can go back through those and reflect on all the notes that she had and some of the good things she went through and some of the bad things she went through. But I was like, man, so she wrote a dialogue for herself, but now I'm getting to kind of look through that stuff, man, and kind of get a little more of a appreciation and understanding about my mother.
Yeah, and what's funny you say that is the only reason my grandfather wrote and did what he did.
Yeah.
So he wrote a small book, like a journal, called The Search. So he wrote that, and the only reason why he did is because his dad said, hey, it's going to drive you crazy. You're going to push your family away.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to move on emotionally. Write it, and that's what he did. So, and so I wrote because I just thought the world needed to know, not just my family. I wanted to honor my family with this. But I thought the world needed, because it's just such an amazing story. I mean, it is one of the most amazing stories that you'll ever hear. My only hope was that I was able to tell the story right.
Absolutely, absolutely. For those who are just tuning in, we're on the phone with Mr. Derek McBride, who is the author of the book One Search for All. He's telling us about his book, about the life and of his grandfather, and kind of giving us a little bit of background of him and in the book as well. So Mr. Derek McBride is actually on the line for those of us who are just tuning in. But man, that's interesting because a lot of our history is oral. A lot of our history is passed on by word of mouth, and I think a lot of times that's how we lose a lot of our history, is because it is passed on by word of mouth. It is not really written down. From the whole some of the religious texts. You know what I'm saying, things like that. So as you go through the canon of life, you go through and you see things like perfect example. The other day I was sitting there with the family and we did that school trick. I did it with my daughters actually. You whisper something in their ear, then they tell. Yeah, yeah. Then by the time, but with my kids, man, I can say, go sit down on the couch. Next thing you know, it's the dog ran down the street, when it gets back to the end, I'm saying, they wild, man. But with oral history, man, if you don't have it written, it can by changing so many times through the years, it could change so many different times where we really don't get the true history. And I think a lot of times, even as Black, African American, or Negroes, or however people may choose to call it at this time right now. But going through trying to find out our real history. I had a conversation with some brothers that were Hebrew Israelites the other day, and they were kind of going in on their thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, just so many different people saying so many different things, and I can understand how a person that didn't understand would be like, you know what? I'm done with the whole thing. I'm just black.
Absolutely. I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah, and I think the unique thing about it is because over the years, I would talk to, we call him High Pop, but I would talk to my grandfather. I would talk to High Pop. I was able to corroborate all the stories. So if he said the cow was brown and black,
yeah,
the first time he told me, then the 20th time the cow was brown and black,
yeah,
then I was able to say, okay, then that cow was brown and black.
absolutely.
And not only that, but I'm a lot younger than my grandfather.
Yeah.
But when he would tell me the story, I could go back to the 40s. When he would say, "Here's what we did," and I would visualize what things were like in the 70s and 60s, and as he's telling me the story. So he was literally a living. He's living a living history, and that's why, I only put a portion. I probably put 10% of what he told me in the book.
Yeah.
The other 90% is out there waiting to be written. Volume 2.
Yeah.
So that's the cool stuff. That was the really cool stuff about it.
Yeah, I know. Some time ago we talked about, man. I said I would love the opportunity to just really talk to him, man, and just have him just record stuff, man. Just talk about his life history and things like that, because a lot of times, man, it's those unseen heroes, man, that we don't, we don't hear about and things like that. One example is I was looking at the Capitol situation where folks ran in the Capitol. Folks were kind of bashing the police officer that was kind of running away from him. They thought, oh man, dude's a coward. He was running away from him. But then you kind of got the full story. Was he was actually leading them away from where they were trying to go. So those unsung and those unseen heroes, man, that we need to know about, man, that we do need to celebrate. I didn't know a whole lot about W.E.B. Du Bois, man, and we're in that studio now, and I was kind of looking at certain things and kind of researching him and stuff, just understanding that, man, he was a powerful man, and that's a lot of our history. I'm sorry.
No, and I'm agreeing with you. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and that's a lot of our history, man. That's needed, man. And I don't think it's by accident that we're talking right now. I mean, Dr. King's birthday was yesterday. Now you and I talked some time ago, and we were talking about Dr. King. So it's not. Yeah, it's not by accident we're on the phone. So what are you looking to get out of your book, man? I know you published a book. The book is it's about to be out there. It's about to go out there. What are you looking to get? What kind of response are you looking to get from your book?
I think initially I want people to be able to. I just want to share the story. Again, it's such an amazing story. When you read the book, I just hope I conveyed how awesome the story. You will be amazed at the story. You'll go, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, I have aspirations, and my goal is I'm a motivational speaker, and I would love to be able to, travel and tell the story and inspire people to be great and motivate people to live out their dream and to make the difference that they want to make. And I can provide those tools,
absolutely,
to be able to help people do that.
Absolutely. So who are you targeting with your book, or is the book kind of anchored toward young people that need to be inspired, or is it really targeted toward older people that say, you know what, I can remember some of those days?
My son and I have talked about the book, and he loves it. He's a different generation. He doesn't get it. So with that younger generation.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep it out there so they don't forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the older generation,
Yeah.
I'm trying to put it out there so they can remember and they can
Absolutely.
reflect, and and then with everyone else in between,
Yeah.
it can be motivational, it can be inspirational. The book may just be words on a page
Mm.
to some, but the journey to writing the book and the journey to start to finish
Right.
is a story that that I can tell and hopefully inspire people.
Yeah.
Because I mean I think we live our life day to day,
Yeah.
and we have a career. Some of us really love our career, some of us don't.
Yeah.
But everyone has inspiration.
Yeah.
To do whatever they want to do, and I hope that I can light that fire and inspire them to do that.
Absolutely, man. That is true. And a lot of times it really, like you said, light that fire. A lot of times, man, it really just takes that one story. It really does just take that one time. I mean, even just in this our conversation that we spoke for this brief moment of time, you talked about how your grandfather influenced you and inspired you and things like that. But you also said, just based off of the wealth of knowledge that your grandfather had, and then you knew within yourself you wanted to put this book out, but fear set in and said, well, you can't write this book. Nah, you can't write this book. And things like that.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're right. And here's what's interesting. I'm on the show right now, marketing my book, and hopefully it people buy it
Yeah.
when it comes out in May. Man, I'm telling you, a year and a half, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
no, man. I'm like, what the heck? And not only that, I would say a year ago, as I'm writing it,
Yeah.
or maybe 2 years ago, where the flow is there. I'm writing it and I'm excited. I'm not close to finishing,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely beyond starting the book.
Yeah.
And if there were times where I would get a lull or lazy,
Yeah.
man, I would go to a conference on accident or go somewhere, and someone would
Yep.
be like, oh, they would have their booth set up and they're signing their book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
could be me.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
So you go home with that little nugget and you put that in there, and that kind of drives you.
Yeah.
But I would have so many experiences like that where I would go to conferences and I would see people, and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
it can be more than just that's me. It can be like a reality.
Absolutely.
So I'm not, we're not quite at the finish line.
Yeah.
But we're there.
Yeah.
But we should be there in May, and again, some things have to happen between now and then.
Yeah.
But we're on track. We're way ahead of schedule. But the book's finished, and now we just have to tighten up on some legal matters, and then we'll be ready to go.
Absolutely, and that's a good point, man. Because I believe that a lot of times, man, when people don't see success coming overnight, you know what I'm saying, whether it be whatever your journey is, man, whether it's losing weight, you know what I'm saying, he's like, you know what, over 10 years, man, I've gained 50 or 100 pounds, or over 10 years I've gained 80 pounds, and then you go to the gym one time, you looking in the mirror like, man, ain't nothing ain't nothing happening, man. I'm done with this gym.
And be mad about it.
And be mad.
I would say that, you kind of layer those successes on top of each other.
Yeah.
But I would say for probably 8 chapters. God, it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
For 8 chapters, I wrote the book on my phone.
Wow. Yeah.
I wrote on my phone. I didn't write on a computer.
Yeah.
Because I wanted those thoughts to get out, and I layered a sentence, a word on a word, and then a sentence on a sentence,
Yeah.
and a paragraph on a paragraph.
Yeah.
I would just write on my phone. I'd be,
Yeah.
oh man, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
And it's funny because initially, like at 2 a.m, I'd have a good thought, and I'd be like, oh, I'll remember it in the morning. I'd be
Yep.
up at 7, and I didn't forget it. I
Yep.
was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, you need to keep a notebook by your dresser.
Yep.
So if I got up at 2 a.m. with a thought, man, I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
And anytime I got a thought, and again, when a layer on a layer on a layer on a layer, man, when I went to copy the text from my phone onto my computer to really start writing, I had like 5-6 chapters.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
the most amazing thing. I'm like, wow, that's cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, it does not happen overnight. It doesn't. There's no way it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Life will not let it. Life will not let it happen
No.
overnight.
You got to
Man,
learn.
I'm ready to print this. I am ready to come out with this daggone book, and then
Yeah.
Rona comes over. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So life happens. It's not gonna let you do it overnight. It just won't. Life
No.
won't let you do that. But
No. Because
if you
it's
stay at it, you can get it done.
because it's a learning process, man. You gotta learn, and I think with some people, man, you have to go through that process, because I think the process is really what makes you, man. Because if it came easy and if it came overnight, then I don't think it really it might not have as much weight to it. It might not feel as heavy. It's like if somebody just gave you a brand new car. I mean, you'll wash it a couple times because but if they gave it to you, then other than you going out there and spending your money and really say, hey man, I had to come from a bucket to a Benz. You know what I'm saying? I had to work hard for this thing, and I think that's what just even a story. And I hadn't read the book yet. But just even the story that's leading up to the the story leading up to you putting this book out, man, is inspirational to me. Because for one, you got this idea, you have the resource right next to your grandfather, you got everything that you need. You got a pen, you got paper, you got a phone, so you have you have a grandfather telling you what he went through. You got everything that you need. But now it's like, well, how do I put this together? And how do I work this? And then it's up to you to kind of figure that part out. And then you start it, and then something happened. Then you started, somebody gets sick. Then you started, then you know what I'm saying. Then Corona hit. Right. Then all these different things come.
Yeah. Life will hit you, and I just say, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not easy, and to those of there, and there is a small percentage of people where things do come easy. I mean, there are people but even though something may come easy to you, there are still other variables that you cannot control that you have to navigate through.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to navigate. Somebody gives you a car.
Yeah.
You still got to go through the traffic to get from A to B. You still got to navigate the bad drivers on the road.
Right.
You still got to navigate through the potholes.
Right.
You still got to navigate the weather, the hurricanes and the tornadoes. And so, okay, you got a car, but there are still other variables that you have to navigate to that are detrimental to your car.
Yeah.
If a hurricane comes through here, man, 4, 5, 6 times a year. You got your brand new car parked outside. That hurricane will tear it up in a minute. So there are still other variables that you have to be able to negotiate.
Yeah.
Even if something, but no, it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come overnight.
Yeah. Still gotta change the oil.
There's still, and just the biggest thing is life still happens. And,
life still happens.
I talk to Derek, my son, and I talk to people, and they're like, well, when this is over, when we get through this, then I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And I tell them all the time, man, well, this is going to always be around. It just may not be this. It may be that. It may be, you know what I'm saying? But there's something that's always going to be in your way that's going to impede your progress. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah, that's life, man. That's what makes us stronger. A lot of people say what doesn't kill you make you stronger, but a lot of times, man, those life experiences definitely make you stronger, man. So life. I was going to ask you a little bit, how you came up with the life part, but I mean, obviously that's, that's given. You've pretty much said life happens, so that's true. So
you mean as far as the book?
Yeah.
Life, Liberty, and Pursuit?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, without giving the whole story away.
Yeah.
The story is about my grandfather. He took care of a lady. Her name was Miss Willie.
Sure.
And one day he took care of her for many, many years. And one day he went to Miss Willie lived in a tent. She was a bagless. She was a homeless lady who lived in a tent.
Yeah.
And one day he went to take care of breakfast, and she wasn't there.
Yeah.
So she went missing.
Yeah.
So my grandfather put together a team of people to go find her.
Yeah. The search for her. Yeah.
Yep, to search. that's where his title came from, The Search.
Yeah.
And he went to find her, and they found her, and she was dead. She was
Oh.
stuck in mud.
Yeah.
But
So that
he wanted to give her
with
a proper burial.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So with that story, that story, just all the intricate details within that story, man, are written in your book, so people can understand, you know, how the search went on, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, and basically that was just a snippet of the story I told you.
Right.
Basically, my book talks about when Jack was a young kid.
Yeah.
How he came to meet Miss Willie.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack's portion was my grandfather's portion was the search for Miss Willie and her people.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Yeah.
And my story took you back another 20 years.
Yeah.
When Jack was 6 or 7, and how he came to know Miss Willie, and then what happened after he found her people.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. The book essentially is the whole crux of the book is the details of how he kind of went back and forth. Yeah. That's beautiful. And I think that story, man, is poignant because, you know, like I said, even without me even reading the book, it sounds to me like one of those deals where it's one of those heart-wrenching stories, man, because, you know, my mother used to care for a lady that had cancer, and when she passed away, she was devastated, and I didn't really understand why she was so devastated behind this lady, but she had taken care of this lady for years and years and years. And I mean, as a kid, I didn't really understand until I got older, and I understood that the bond that they had with one another, man, and not even being related, just being able to care for somebody and sit there and talk to them and things like that, man, that's personal. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. And but this story, again, I just gave you a couple. It will blow your mind.
Yeah.
It will. You will be like, okay, that's awesome. I get it.
Right.
It'll be and to no credit to myself. Only thing I try to do is not mess it up. That's really what I try to do.
Yeah.
I want to tell you a story without messing it up. I want to write you something and not mess it up. That's the only thing I want to do is make sure I tell the story.
Yeah.
And make sure you get the full weight of how amazing this thing is.
Yeah. And kudos to your grandfather, man. And kudos to him for just really, for one, for caring, and for two, man, just being willing to share his story. You know, oftentimes is like, you know, I think everybody has a story, and that's what when I get on a mic on the radio show, man, that's what I try to pull out of people, man. Like, you know, what is your life story? You know, what makes you tick as a person? You know what I'm saying? What is it? You know, what are some of the things that, you know, somebody might be listening right now, just like, yo, man, I'm really struggling with whatever. And, you know, they might hear something that says, you know what, I feel like I can either make it, I can write a book, you know, I can make it till tomorrow, and I could you know, I can do a little better, you know. And everybody's got that life story. Like I said, kudos to your grandfather, man, for wanting to share that with the world, you know, because essentially that's where it's going, man. I believe that your book, in this authenticity of the book, of you really wanting to write that and not wanting to mess it up, but really want to show and showcase the authenticity of your grandfather, man. I think that's what's gonna pull at the people's heart, man.
Absolutely. Well, and that's why I'm here to tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, man, and you said you do some mentoring. So how's that work for you, man? Mentoring young folks.
Well, I own a company called Vision Quest.
Okay.
And basically, we work with on one side we work with children who come from disadvantaged circumstances.
Gotcha.
So we inspire them to be great from that side. And then from the education side, we work with children, you know, who have disabilities and learning disabilities, and You know, we have youth basketball teams with some of those kids on them. We have youth football teams,
Nice.
and because gym is not pushed in schools,
Yeah.
we offer that as an alternative. And you know, like I was telling someone a couple of days ago, in 2019, not 2020, but 2019, we served about 3,000 kids.
Mm.
So that's kind of what we do. We put on youth fitness programs, youth fitness camps, youth camps, and you know, we have a youth basketball league right now, and most of those kids are from, you know, disadvantaged situations, and so you know, we're even trying to raise money to get uniforms right now. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what we did, and you know, I've been doing that kind of my whole life.
Good deal, man. Um, man, put a plug out for that. So you can put a plug in case somebody wants to donate to you, man. Can you do that?
Yeah. Basically, you know, you can go to visionquest.com and look us up and see what we're doing. And we have an app. I guess it's Venmo. If you're interested in making donations. And,
Yeah.
we're a 501c3, so we're able to do that.
Yeah.
And you know, we just kind of try to keep kids first.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. I want you to say that, man, just in case somebody is listening that does. I've got a friend of mine, man. He's in Special Olympics, you know, and he's invited. Yeah, he's invited me to a couple of things, man, and sometimes they travel a lot, so it's like, yo, man, I can't make that, man. Chris, man, I want you to be out to this part. And then he sent me little videos and stuff, man. He's amazing. He's a cool cat, man. We went to school, we went to high school together, and I took some courses, man. My aunt was she taught she was a cafeteria lady at we got a school called Delano here. It's closed down now, but I used to go up there and just go out there and sit with her, man, and hang out with her and eat breakfast and stuff. And then I end up learning sign language. So I ended up taking sign language classes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I took sign language classes, man. So I was doing sign language to like a lot of deaf kids and things like that, and really understanding. And then me doing that, man, it made me mad when I went back like to my neighborhood, man, and then we see somebody that was disabled and they call them, you know, some of the words they call them, you know, retarded and things like that, you know, and it bothered me having experienced that. It bothered me like, yo, man, that's a disability, man. So
Absolutely.
and I used to get on my best friend, man. I was like, you know, what if you had a bad car accident one day, and then you was in a wheelchair or something like that, man? Because I mean, he had it bad,
Right.
but and I mean, and then he ended up having a bad car accident. It was in the wheelchair for a while, so you know, I always try to
It can
tell
happen.
it could happen,
You know,
man.
you know.
Bro, it can happen. I read a story about a lady, man, that she went to sleep one day and, you know, I guess a bug or something crawled in her ear, man, and she woke up and something happened to her brain where she had to literally learn how to, you know, get her function of her legs and things like that. You know, I don't think she made bad with anybody, but I'm just saying, you know, life can happen. You know, and that's why I always tell my family, and you know, my son's in college, but I always tell them, you know, you got to be careful what you say about other people, man, because oftentimes, or sometimes, this stuff can kind of boom around and come back at you, man. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
thank God for what you got, man. But I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful that you do that, man. I think you know you're a good dude, man. You know you stand on your principle, man. You definitely want to honor your grandfather with your book, and I think he's proud. I believe he's proud of you, man. I'm sure he's probably said it. I don't know, but I'm sure he's proud of you, man, because you know for them wanting to get that book out and for them to want to tell their story, man. I think that's a great accomplishment. That's like a pat on the back. You're like, yeah, you know, I did all right.
Right.
I did good by you, man. So
Man, we try, man.
yeah. So man, if people want to reach out to you, man, just kind of give a little bit more about your book again. You know, the drop date and the name of it, and how they can reach out to you if they want to, you know, get ready for it when it comes out.
Yeah, they can go to the One Search for All. Right now, the website is up, but we're working on some things. So, what I can probably do is I can, if you give me about a week, I can give you all those details. I can, and
Okay.
if you want to share them on your show, or if I don't know if you do commercials, but I'd be willing to buy a commercial spot from you and plug the book that way. I'd be willing to do that.
Okay, okay, that's definitely something we can work on, man. We, producers, in agreement with that, man. So that's something that we can work on, and we, you got our number, so we'll plug that or whatever case. But I think it's awesome, man. Everybody's got a story to tell, and it's up to us to tell that story. Like, can't nobody tell my story for me but me. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody tell your story
Absolutely.
for you but you, and you gotta be willing to tell that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I think that's the honorable thing. I've I've known people that have been in the foster care situation, man. I've been like, you know, tell it, tell it,
Absolutely.
because oftentimes is, man.
We deal with several foster children.
Yeah, yeah, and just tell your story, because you never know, man. Somebody's out there, maybe at the end of their rope. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have lost hope. Maybe have you just need to hear you saying, "Listen, I went through it. You can make it. This is how." And a lot of times that's all somebody needs, is to hear that one thing, that, you know what, I can make it. I can make it till tomorrow. I can make it till Thursday. I can make it till Friday. Trouble don't last always, man. I think that's one thing that.
And I tell most of my kids, and the biggest thing I tell, hey, listen, I have failed too, and it didn't stop me from doing anything.
Yeah.
And you can get up from a failed relationship. You can get up from failed business deals. Many of us have fallen, and you can get up, and if you haven't gotten up, it's time to get up.
Yeah, yeah. And don't beat yourself up over it. don't beat yourself. Celebrate the small accomplishments, man. Say one day, say you want to, say you battling something, man, and then that one day that you don't do it, but then you fall off the next couple of days. Okay, well, celebrate that one day, and then say, you know what, I'm gonna do it another day. Then I'm gonna do it, and then next thing you know, you gone a whole month without doing it. I had an interview, and he's a good friend of mine. I've interviewed him on the show, and he said, man, I've been arrested 97 times. 97 times, man. He said, man, I had the officers on the first name on a first name basis 97 times, man. But he's a good dude, man. He's a great guy, man. He always drops gems on me, man. One gem that he told me, and I never forgot, this has been years ago. He said, if a man fails to plan, he plans to fail. And that's the truth.
Absolutely.
If a man fails to plan, then he plans to fail.
Absolutely.
And he's just a solid guy. Actually runs a shelter for people that's off drugs and things like that, to kind of come in there and get eaten and get some clothes and things like that. But just a solid dude, man. So before we get off the show, man, we got about I don't know, little less than 10 minutes, man. What would you say to somebody that's listening? Maybe your motivational commentary, or just in your coaching thing, man. What would you say to somebody that maybe needs to live life, and what is liberty? You know what I'm saying? What is the pursuit of what? You know what I'm saying? What?
I think you're coming in and out a little bit. I'm having a tough time hearing you.
Are you okay? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. I said we got about a little less than 10 minutes or so, man. And what would you tell somebody, that maybe a young person, maybe an older person that's having a tough time, man, that's really needing, trying to figure it out, man? Maybe you're motivational or you're inspirational, man. What would you tell somebody, brother, that's as we wrap this show?
I think I would probably share several things. Number one is you have to take the first step, and the first step is always the hardest step, but the first step is the most important step. And as we were talking about earlier, once you take that first step, and then that second step, and the third step, then you can begin to build on the direction that you want to go. And but but it's all baby steps. I mean,
Yeah.
it's things, things can happen in chunks, but
Yeah.
life is we live life in the mundane. I mean, outside of birthdays and outside of Christmas and celebrations, most of the life that you live is in the mundane. It's in the details. It's in the boring things that you do from day to day, and making sure you set a standard of how you want your day to day living and activities to be, and your day to day habits
Mm-hmm.
and your day to day thoughts, and that's where you begin to win. Once you can, set your day to day goals and your habits and your repetitive movements and those kind of things, then you can begin to win and go into the direction that you really want to go.
Yeah.
But it's hard if you don't have habits, and if you don't have established habits,
Yeah.
and not habits that you do every month, but literally habits that you do, the good and great habits that you do on a minute by minute, hourly, and daily basis. That's when you begin to win.
Yeah. 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 That's well said, man. And have a great circle of people around you. A lot of time our people that we have people have influence over us, man, that oftentimes is we just do haphazardly, not even knowing that we've done it because it's something that may come natural. But having a great group of people, man, that you can kind of grow into who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? And as you said, taking that first step, man, there was a poem that I read some time ago. It just simply said, one man's journey starts with the first step outside of his front door, and that's the truth.
Absolutely.
It starts with that first step, man, and then it becomes your journey. And I know there was this movie I used to watch called "What About Bob" with Bill Murray in it, man, and he would always say baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, man. But but you gotta learn how to crawl before you walk. You know what I'm saying? And when you walk, you can run. So listen, today's been a great show. Brother Derek, man, I really appreciate you chiming in and everything, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for your time. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. And for everybody know, the book's coming out pretty soon here, you guys. Um, One Search for All, Life, Liberty, and Pursuit, inspired by true stories based on real life events by Derek McBride. Brother, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me, and in the next couple of days, I'll make sure that as I start to market it, which the marketing plan I think happens next week. I have
Mm-hmm.
a team that's doing it, and you'll be full abreast of all the dates and excerpts and when this thing's coming out. But thank you again, and we're really excited about it.
Man, my pleasure, brother. I wish you much success, brother, on this book and the books after this, brother.
Yeah. Well, you putting it on me already.
Already, man. Listen,
You
listen,
putting it on me.
listen, brother. They say when you write one, it's like you getting one tattoo. You can't just get one potato chip. No, but
Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
just have one, man. You got the bug. I believe you got a lot in you, man. I really do. I believe you got a lot in you, and it's a lot that people need to hear. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot people need to hear.
Absolutely.
So it ain't by
Well,
accident, brother.
you guys have a good week, and thank you for having me. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to call.
I sure will. Thank you so much, bro. Peace, man.
Yes, sir.
Right. All right, you listen to Street Therapy KC with your man Chris. That interview was with Mr. Derek McBride. He's the author in real estate. He's also a mentor. Brother, he wears a lot of hats, man, and I think seems like he wears them well. So get the book. It comes out here. I think it's at May 1st, but you can replay that. But get the book. One Search for All, Life, Liberty, and Pursuit. Inspired by true story based on real life events. Y'all have a great week. Man, God bless y'all. Y'all take care of yourself. And be careful out there. Tomorrow's inauguration, Trump is out of the office. Trump is out of the office tomorrow. Biden will be he is the president-elect. Him and Kamala Harris will be in there. So, yeah, I'll be careful, man. Yeah, take care of yourself, man. Be careful, man. Listen, God bless y'all. We love y'all, man. Y'all have a good day. Peace. Thank you.
All right, you're listening to KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station.